Hi, welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week's guest yacht is one of the most innovative in this size category in more ways than one. We're talking, of course, about the NEEL 47. The NEEL 47 Trimaran won both the 2020 Cruising Magazine's Cruising Boat of the Year as well as 2020 Multi-Hull of the Year award, and is full of innovations. It's a cruising multi-hull that can be easily operated by an owner, couple, or even a single sailor. Construction is vacuum bagged in fused polyester foam, and the boat is characterized by its wider beam with only about a foot wider than a lagoon of the same length, which provides her with exceptional stability, space, and performance. And that stability is spoken to by Igor. I've forgotten his last name, but he does videos of his deliveries, and he delivered a 51 across the Atlantic and has about a 5-video series on this, and repeatedly comments about a couple of things. One, absolutely no noise, no creaks, no flex, and two, the smoothness of the ride in a trimaran. Centered weights and an intelligent choice of materials easily provide the boat with a 220-mile travel radius in a 24-hour period, which is pretty darn good. This speed translates both into fun at the helm as well as safety by reducing exposure time at sea. And of course, that trimaran configuration is almost the best of both worlds between a monohull and a catamaran, in that you get just a little bit of heel, not enough to scare the wife, but enough to give you a thrill. So it's a really good format. So today, we're going to review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. We're going to do a full tour, asking, as usual, what would Sylvia say, because without her, we're going nowhere. 3, we're going to navel gaze at an innovation and or adjustment that might make life aboard a little easier. I'm going to rerun one innovation that just makes sense on this yacht. 4, have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5, we're going to give it a Dave score and compare the results with all previously reviewed yachts. Starting our tour in North America, we swing over to the knee of Italy and the site of last week's yacht, the Como Shipyards on the banks of the Tiber in Rome. Backing out from there, we back out and make a hop all the way across the Med and over to the continent in the western shores of France to the home of NEEL Trimarans in La Rochelle, France. And then out from there, we swing into the Bordeaux wine region and the home of our wine pairing this week, the wineries of Chateau Le Tour. Our wine pairing with the NEEL this week, as I said, is Chateau Le Tour Reserve du Chateau. Completely overwhelmed by the quality of this vineyard that dates back to the Middle Ages, Doroth acquired these estates in 1990. For more than 25 years, a new viniculture approach was applied across the entire vineyard, respecting the terroir and vines in the quest for optimum fruit quality. As a result of rigorous vineyard management, the harvest is spread markedly over time, allowing for the grapes to be picked at optimal ripeness. The Reserve du Chateau, which expresses the specific character of the finest terroirs, is aged for 12 to 14 months in the barrel hall next to the winery. This is an ancient barrel hall right there in the winery. Very cool. Cold pre-fermentation maceration is applied to certain batches, and traditional vinification takes place in individual batches in temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks, after which the wine is aged for 12 to 14 months in oak barrels, in individual batches and partly aged on the lees. Now, if you, like me, wondered what on the lees is, it's leaving wine in contact with dead yeast cells, which might not sound too appealing on paper, but lees aging can be used to enhance certain aromas or bring more body and texture to the wines. And I assure you, this wine meets those promises. Oh, That's delicious. Let's go have a look at that boat. Okay, having a look at this yacht. It really is incredibly distinctive. Those three hulls and the way the center one is out front and the side two back a bit with the reverse bows, it is sex on the water. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And when you look at the way that hull, you can fly a hull easily without being in danger. It's just so exciting to see this thing in motion. It's just an absolutely beautiful machine. The beam of it as well really allows you some incredible opportunities on board, which Eric Brunel really has taken advantage of. Now, having a look onto the actual new comparables and the specifics, you can see here that the NEEL 47 has actually, funnily enough, the least upwind sail area at 90 square meters. The next closest are tied at just 16 square meters above that, the Outremer 45 and the Nautilus 44 open. And then, of course, the Bally 4.6 is at 120 square meters. Moving to the cabin tops, you can see the beam of the yacht here. Now, I apologize. There are no cabin top line drawings of either the NEEL or the Outremer 45, or for that matter, the Nautilus 44. But at least with the Nautilus and the Outremer, I managed to get a good mast down overhead shot. The NEEL 47 is a little skewed there, but you get the idea. What you don't have on the NEEL 47 that its big brother has is a rooftop terrace or fly lounge. The Bally is the only one that actually has that. The other two are the same. Moving into the cabins or into the saloon now, you can see the dramatic space in the NEEL 47. I know it's only 1 foot wider in the beam, but wow, the overall space that's applied there and the way they've split it between cockpit and saloon really creates quite an image. And what's really cool, of course, is your owner's cabin is on the main floor. And in this version, as opposed to the 51, there's actually a window from at the foot of the bed straight out over the chart table, so that you literally can pop your head up, look sideways out that massive side window that you'll see, and forward through the window across the nav table out to see exactly where you're moored and have a quick look at your plotters. So really quite cool there. Now moving into the cabins, on the hulls, of course, the NEEL is different in that it doesn't have your owner's cabin in the hulls. Your hulls are your pontoons or your, oh, it'll come to me. Sorry, I've forgotten the proper word for the trimaran hulls. But they're very narrow, and of course you can only really have your guest accommodations in there. They've done a remarkable job in a very narrow space. They could have either gone in mid-pontoon and split bathroom and sleeping quarters, but made it a little difficult to access. But what they've done is they've gone at the aft of the pontoon, created stairs that actually go down over the toilet. So to use the toilet, you swing the stairs sideways and you have your washroom right there, and then you move into your cabin, which you'll see. Very quite, innovative that way. And of course, then forward, you've got a very nice day head there in the bow in this particular layout. So looking at the statistics, you can see the base euro. The NEEL 47 is the most economical at $538. Now, these prices are all over the place right now. The exchange is crazy. When I first did this tour, the exchange wasn't dollar for dollar, but it's almost US dollar for euro right now. And the Canadian exchange fluctuates wildly. So take these with a grain of salt. But At this time, we're looking at sort of 538 versus 563, which is, you know, spitting distance on the Bali 46, and 539 on the Nautic, so I'd assume they're on par with the Outremer, substantially higher at 743. Moving down to the length overall, the Outremer is the longest at 48 feet. The beam, of course, the NEEL 47 has it there at 27 feet. On the draft, you've got the Outremer at basically 4 feet to 6.5 feet. The NEEL is at a stable 5.2 feet because, of course, it has the mini keels. Then displacement, the Outremer has it at 8.7 ton, with the NEEL next at 10.6, the Nautic at 10.9, and of course the Bali at 13.8. Upwind sail area, we've already examined. The Bali has that at 120 square meters. Engine, the Nautic is there at the 2 times 50 horsepower. Of course, the NEEL only has one engine, and it's 60 horsepower. It does come with a standard bow thruster, though, so your navigation, your maneuvering is quite good. The fuel tank and water tank capacity, solid lead by the Bali at 800 liters apiece. Next down would be the Nautic at 500 and 600. And then I guess we'd give it to the NEEL at 303 and 600 liters. Now, I've taken a bit of advice from one of my viewers who kindly pointed out that hull construction and materials play a massive part in price and value. And when I started this, you all know that I was just looking at boats from the eyes of Sylvia. So how that hull was constructed never really crossed my mind, but my friend here got me looking at different fiber materials and different resins, and I quickly realized how vastly important these were to the longevity and general value, even though my wife wouldn't care less about it. But it does matter to me, given that I'm going to be the guy maintaining this. And when you look across at this, the Bali is E-glass, polyester, and foam core. The NEEL is quad axle fiberglass, polyester, and a vinyl ester layer on the outside with a foam core. Now, that makes a big difference. The quad axle fiberglass gives it a lot of strength. I know that people would say the polyester is a lower quality and more susceptible to water intrusion, etc., but they've solved that with a vinyl ester layer and a foam core. The Outremer 45 would take this, though. You've got E-glass and carbon fiber reinforcements with a vinyl ester on the 45 and solid glass below the waterline with a foam core elsewhere. So that's a really high quality hull, and it would explain the delta in price here. Of course, the Nautic 44 has E-glass, polyester, and foam core. I'd like to take this moment, if you're enjoying this content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you could, and take a moment to share this out to a couple of like-minded sailors tonight. Thanks very much. Okay, moving on board. What would Sylvia say? So the back end of this boat is very impressive. I know it's only a foot wider, but she really does look impressive when you're looking at her. There's your life raft in a very accessible area right at the back of the main pontoon. Moving in, you've got really quite a good sized cockpit here. I know it looks a little small, but that you also have that cockloon door that opens up and gives the impression of massive space. You'll see over there as well, you've got a nice barbecue, and I wouldn't survive without a barbecue. And then you've got your engine compartment there and the rest of your cockpit. Now this brings us to the first bit of navel gazing, the engine compartment. Fuel problems are the most common cause of breakdowns at sea. Some of the blame for this can be laid at the boat builder's feet. Fuel tanks are often hard to access, and many have no drain cock or inspection hatches, so owners have to rely on their engine's inline fuel filters to stop dirt and water getting into the injectors and combustion chamber. However, really, these should be the last line of defense, as they can quickly become overwhelmed if diesel bug or contaminated fuel gets into the system. Nor do they stop water and sludge accumulating at the bottom of the fuel tank below the level of the fuel pickup caused by condensation and contaminated fuel. And this was validated by Carry On Sailing, the gentleman who owns the NEEL 51 and has a sporadic YouTube channel. And he talked specifically about the importance of fuel filtration. As well, Sailing Cardero, I'm sorry, I screwed it up, but it's a beautiful English couple sailing around the British Isles in their boat, and they encountered this whole fuel issue, and they were the ones that brought this specific technology to my mind. They also have a beautiful Vizsla, just like mine, and his name is Hank, and obviously I feel a connection there. They do fantastic cinematography, by the way. If you have a chance, definitely look at them. So, rather than drawing fuel from the 20 millimeters above the bottom of the tank, as most fuel pickups do, the diesel dipper deliberately sucks out all the sludge and water that lurks at the very bottom of the tank that causes rust to set in and provide the perfect breeding environment for diesel bug. The contaminated fuel then passes through a separator that removes any water and debris from the diesel and returns the clean fuel to the tank. Because diesel bug only thrives in the presence of water, if you get rid of the water, you solve the diesel bug issue. The heart of the unit is a low-power 12-volt pump that gently sucks the bottom 3 to 5% of the fuel from the bottom of your tanks at a rate of 2 liters per minute to prevent it emulsifying. This is passed through a series of baffles and swirl chambers that separates any water and sludge present and allows it to settle to the bottom of the unit for draining off later. The clean fuel passes out the top of the separator and after a final filtration process is returned to the main tank. Due to the efficiency of the separator, the final filter is a 40 micron stainless steel mesh that rarely needs cleaning and should never need replacing. By keeping the tank clean, it should also improve the life of any filters further down the line. And here's the best part. The dipper costs 785 British pounds and can be installed by a DIY competent owner or professional at a relatively low cost. And one of the reviews that I read actually tested it by bravely pouring 2 cups of water into his diesel tank, waiting a while, and later going to the dipper and doing the purging process, and to his amazement found 2 cups of water. I haven't heard a single review on this unit that claims anything but complete success. It's simple, it's reasonable, and again, the couple that doing the British Isle tour, they have an entire video on this, on their installation, an interview with the inventor, and I strongly recommend that you have a look. I'll put a link to it in the description of this video, so do have a look at this. This could save you a lot of heartache. Okay, back on board. You can see the rest of the cockpit there, the stairs up to the helm position, and a quick peek into the saloon. We're going to have a quick look at the side pontoons. Amas, that's the word, the side amas. Of course, there's the grill. You have a nice drop-down ladder, and swinging around, here is the entrance into the port ama. We're going to have a quick look up the mast, nice 2-spreader mast. The boom, very easy to access, nice easy height, and of course the stocks for your dinghy are on the back, and it's lifted by using the boom. So moving into what is the bathroom, and I gotta say, I love that little curved element they have on the door in, and then right into the berth. Now you can see how open and comfortable and airy this berth is given the size of it. Beautiful windows, great skylight, and your escape hatch. Here we are in the bathroom, and you can see the stairs swing away from the toilet and swing back, And there you are. Now, what I don't show you is to my right, there is a huge lock. Sorry, to my left, there's a huge locker and a cover over it that allows you maximum storage space. That AMA is mimicked on the other side, so it's exactly the same. So, given for what you're dealing with, it's not bad. When we look around now the saloon, you've got a comfortable, if modest, dinette. But it really is optimized by that cockloon approach with the door that swings completely over and brings you into the cockpit itself. We swing around then, and you can see the door to the master bathroom, or the master bedroom. And of course, here's your galley. And, a very good-sized galley. I had somebody in my comment section asking why I wasn't commenting more about galley size. But there's no limitation in the NEELs. You've seen it in the 51. You could land an aircraft on that galley. And here again, not too bad. Here is a very roomy chart table. Now, I'm not big on chart tables, as you all know, and these bench seats they have, whatnot, are actually usually just a stool. But here, you've got a very comfortable bench. It's a good spot that couldn't really be used for much else. I wouldn't mind sitting here or even reclining here for a night watch. And all your instrumentation goes there. But what is beautiful is you have that window right into the master berth. So the master berth itself, quite comfortable, huge side window, good ventilation. But you're laying down in that berth and you can look straight out the window and see exactly where you're going. You can see your chart table, you can see your plotter. What a fantastic way. You don't have to get up, get disturbed. Now here we go down into the bow dressing room and main bathroom. So I think this is a great use of space. The NEELs generally don't have very large bathrooms, but this isn't bad. You've got a very comfortable shower, good ventilation above it, and you've got great storage here that augments the storage that is already in the master bedroom itself. So, again, as well, in the back of the shower, although we didn't show it, there is an area to hang your wet clothes and let them drip out. So I think that's a tremendous use of space. So kudos on the window through and the master ensuite, which is also used as a day head. Not wildly excited by the coach ceiling. As you know, I'm not a big fan of shiny fiberglass, but they do have some nice indirect lighting there and some nice soft touch panels inset there. Back out to the cockpit. For its width, it's very comfortable. We're going to head up now to the helm. And here you got a really good vantage point. I can see both bows, the port and starboard bow. I can easily see the port and starboard aft. And this brings me now, as I look across the cabin top to where I would expect to see the fly lounge on the 50 or the 51, brings me to our next navel gazing session, and I guess a bit of a rework of a previous one that I did for the Windaloo. Now, I found some fantastic shots of the pop-up low-profile fly lounge that was on the XS15 at the show. This was an option. I've never seen pictures of it anywhere else, because you either have this or you have that pull-back shade that goes over the cockpit on the XS15. But my mind leapt when I looked at this, and if you see some of the pictures here, what they've done is they put a restrainer line on the boom and they pull it over and they pop the seats up and the table up. And it creates this fantastic upper lounge area, which again, when I was talking to some NEEL 51 owners on the way out of the show, and they had actually been a Performance Cat owner in the past, so these were serious sailors. they admitted that that upper lounge area is where everybody gravitates to. It's a valuable, valuable space that's left out of so many performance cats, and actually, unfortunately, was left out on the NEEL 47. But the reason being is the boom height. You have to raise a boom height up too much to have a fly lounge. Now, if you don't intend to use the fly lounge while underway and only use it when you're anchored, the concept I'm going to show you, which is a modification on what I thought was a brilliant idea by XS, will work. So, if the biggest issue with the fly lounge is, of course, you lose all that solar space. And it's too high for the boom. But if, again, you only use it at anchor, you put a restrainer on the boom, and you utilize a pop-up concept like I'm going to show you here. So here it is in its down position. Much lower profile, I would suggest, than what even XS has done on theirs. Now, if you go to the next version of this, where the actual panels flop back and you have space for two tables that are stored underneath, then you pop them further up to create a back, and you put the tables on their stored legs, and you have a full lounge. And of course, the tables fold over. So, you know, again, this is easy enough to do. This isn't rocket science. Now, the pièce de résistance would be if you actually put a pop-up shade, just like you have on the front of the new Lagoon 55. This would drop again and recess in so that you could have your cake and eat it too. I think this would go beautifully on top of the 47. Eric, feel free to use it. Moving back on board, again, there's your cabin top. We've got a very nice vantage point, as we already discussed, where we can see both bows, and swinging around, we can see one stern on the port and the stern right behind me on the starboard. Very, very nice vantage point. And there is your entrance into your starboard AMA, exactly mirroring the port side. So we will have a quick look in here. Again, I really love the arched top of the door inwards. And you have that same sense of space and light that we did on the other side. But look underneath the bed. Holy mackerel. Even my daughters could store all their suitcases under there. And here we have the stairs, and to my right again would be a lift up shade into a massive storage area there. So no shortage of storage space, very practical cockpit, great visibility from the helm. And looking at the side of this vessel, you can see the bimini over the helm, but gosh, she's sexy. You got a slightly reversed front windshield, keeping it nice and shaded. Look at those aggressive front bows, how slim they are, and how sexy that thing looks in the water. I mean, she's just absolutely beautiful. You want to like this boat. She just has so much to offer visually, performance-wise, excitement. It's all there. Little small for my application, but you know, in a pinch, I could be convinced. Okay, moving into the used market, we're gonna again use our sort of 50% rule for a sail away on top of the base. So we're looking at a sail away of 810 US. And here we're looking at a 2019 Fountain Peugeot 47, and they want $1 million. Sorry, I'd do the NEEL in a heartbeat on this one. Let's go to a Katana 47. We're looking at US 776 or 777. 2017, I'd have to think about that one. That's a good boat, decent amount of space. Probably the NEEL's faster and more thrilling. And by the way, this NEEL, actually a version of it, won the ARC last year, I believe. Naughty 46 fly. Completely different, well, not completely different boat. It's a high quality boat. A hull is a great construction. A lot of people don't like the fly version of this one, but the interior has it over the NEEL as far as the look and feel of the interior and the overall feeling of quality. NEEL is at 810 USD, and here we've got 849 USD for a 3-year-old. Bearing in mind, you probably have, us guys, we throw on a good 50 to 100 grand worth of options on board and off we go. It would be something to consider. I'd have to think hard about that one. So let's see then the actual NEEL 47 used. You can see here at 825, now obviously they've got some goodies on this, that this one, only a year old, has held its value rather well if they get what they're asking on this. And this particular one was the one that won the ARC. But look at that profile. That's a great looking boat. So, overall, you got a great boat that seems to hold its value. Before we go into the Dave score, I just want to reiterate the perspective from which the Dave score is taken. So, as opposed to designed by sailors for sailors, that's not my perspective that we're using here, because Sylvia isn't a sailor and doesn't care, and I'm not going anywhere without her. So let's cross that perspective out for a moment and look at what my tagline really would be for this. And it would be designed by sailors, along with a focus group of 45 to 55-year-old women, for sailors' wives, so that they will go sailing with sailors around the world. Not quite as elegant as built by sailors for sailors, but far more closer to the truth in my situation. So bearing in mind that when I score an Outremer 51 below a Bali 4.8, it's not because I don't understand that the Outremer won't make it across the Atlantic faster and smoother and better. But the bottom line is that my wife won't be on the boat when it's crossing the Atlantic. She'll be on an aircraft, waiting on a beach with a Mai Tai in her hand for me, with a real sailor that I've hired, to come across the Atlantic and pick her up for the next leg of our journey. Without further ado then, let's move into the Dave score. So, the NEEL 47. Bear in mind, it did get hit a little bit because of the size. So it's not for my application per se, unless it was a pinch and I could change those AMAs to those specific applications. So the interior, I'm not really fond with what NEEL has done with their interiors. It's very minimalist. It's not what I would call elegant or luxurious. So it got a 6. The exterior, without that upper fly bridge, it got a 6 too. It had a relatively small cockpit. Although comfortable, I like the Cockloon, has no front cockpit, has no front access, and has no fly lounge, so it got a 6. The comfort on the interior, I'd give it a 6. There's no quilted seats, there's nothing really to, there's no fluffy pillows like you have in a lagoon that would give it a sense of extra comfort. It's pretty Euro chic minimalist, and the exterior same thing. Quality, I've heard criticisms in the NEEL quality. I think they've really done a good job in pulling their socks up. I felt the quality overall was strong, and that was reflected in the quad axle fiber they're using, and the way they're building their hulls, and the overall experience that Igor had on that transatlantic crossing. The performance, you'd have to give it an 8, because this thing does go extremely well. Trimarans do, and although the compromise has been made on weight and size and all that sort of thing, I think Eric and his team have done a tremendous job at producing a highly unique vessel. The Lazy Sailor, I'll give it a solid 7, simply because everything does lead back to that single helm. It's very easy to single hand this. You got the bow thruster, all that good stuff. The condo, I'll give it a 6. It's just a little too small, a little too basic to feel like a condo. The Geek, I'll give it a 7. There's something about that trimaran format, that design they've done. I absolutely love it. And finally, value for money, I give it a 6 overall. I'd probably edge it towards a 7, but I don't have half marks here. So there we are. So you can see in the final listing here, compared to all the other yachts we've reviewed, the NEEL is the head of the ORC 50. Of course, again, that's only for my application. You know how I love that ORC 50, but I'd never live on it. The NEEL 47, far more livable, but just a little small for my taste. I put it to just a hair behind the Outremer 51. There's no denying the sheer quality and design and everything. The Outremer 51 is a far more mature vessel. And there we go from there. So, with the Dave score completed, we're almost at the end of our tour. I love looking at the art of the region. In Bordeaux art, we've come across André Lot. André was born in 1885 and died in 1962, and he was a French Cubist painter of figure subjects, portraits, landscapes, and still life. He was also active and influential as a teacher and a writer on art. Lot was born, as I said, in 1885 in Bordeaux, France, and learned wood carving and sculpture from the age of 12 when his father apprenticed him to a local furniture maker to be trained as a sculptor in wood. Bless those practical fathers. He enrolled at École des Beaux-Arts in Bordeaux in 1898 and studied decorative sculpture until 1904. Whilst there, he began to paint in his spare time, and he left home in 1905, moving into his own studio to devote himself to painting. He held his first one-man exhibition at the Galerie Drout in 1910, 4 years after he had moved to Paris. So here we have the Port of Bordeaux. I do hope you enjoy it as much as I did. We'll be back next week, same time, same bat channel. So I hope you join me. Have a great week, and thanks for watching.